friends, welcome to Knit to Cultivate to. This is primarily a fiber arts podcast, but I get up to all kinds of shenanigans while homeschooling my kids. My name's Emily Wood, and I live in Midland, Michigan with my husband, Colin, and our 2 kiddos. Welcome. If this is your first time, thank you so much for coming. I hope you find something that you enjoy. If it isn't, and you're a returning viewer, thank you for putting up with me again and coming back. I am excited to be here and sitting with my coffee and chit-chatting with you guys. It's been, I think, since December 3rd that I have a podcast. I did do the 12 Days of Christmas, if you didn't check that out, where it was kind of a vlogging experiment is what I'm calling it. I knew that I couldn't do all of Vlogmas. I knew that that wasn't a possibility for me. If you didn't hear earlier, I started a new job. I started teaching week 9 of the semester at a university that I have never taught at, and as a lecturer for the first time. So I was in charge of a lot of things that I usually am not, or had not been in charge of when I was in graduate school. So it was a really, really big transition for all of us, for my kids who now come to campus with us and do school on campus throughout the day, 2 days a week, for me, and for my husband, who's now half day homeschooling 2 days a week while getting his own work done at the same time. So it was just a huge transition for everybody, and I knew that wasn't possible. But I had really also knew myself and knew if I didn't use that as an experiment, I didn't think I would get the courage to try more vlogging things and less sitting and talking podcast things. So I wanted to push myself to at least do a 12-day thing. And I'm really glad I did it. It was fun. It was really cool to see parts of our day, even if it ended up being pretty low-key and boring, which honestly was kind of what we needed. And when I planned it, I overlooked a few things. I don't know, when I thought about it, we do a ton of stuff at home, but we don't have all our stuff with us in someone else's house and things like that. So it wasn't as fair or as true of a picture of what our lives are like as I had kind of anticipated. But it was fun nonetheless, and I learned a lot. And I'm going to talk about resolutions. I don't really do resolutions, but I am a goal setter. So my goal talking for the next year and what I've been thinking through and planning, and I'll get to all of that stuff later. But I do want to talk really quickly about a quarterly giveaway. One of my goals this year is to do the 4 quarterly giveaways, and I am going to put a separate video up for the giveaway. It'll have instructions, it'll show the prizes, and I don't want to say that, because the prizes will be what you want it to be. I have a bundle of fiber that I am spinning up, so that is going to be one of the prizes, and the second is going to either be a skein of yarn that you pick the colors out of my dye stock and I will dye up for you, or I also have fiber, so I could dye fiber for you. So that would be the second half of it. So I don't have either of those to show you, so I can't show yarn, but I will go through all of this again in that video, and your entry will be a comment, and I'll explain the prompt in the video, but I'm just going to have you comment on what project you're doing, and you can comment on as many times as you have whips. So if you have a comment per whip is an entry. I feel like that's going to get a little out of control, or could get out of control, knowing how many projects I knit. But I said it, that's what we're doing. Okay. And so, yeah, but that's about all I've got administration-wise. Let's get to some knitting. The first thing I want to talk about is the knee-high recipe that I've been working on, the DK weight knee-high recipe I've been working on. And I don't have any to show you, they're all dirty right now, but I made 2 pairs And I will show a picture because I wore them out the other day just to run errands because it was really cold. And my boots are so short. They look so ridiculous. But the only pair of clean pants I had at the time were capris. And I was warm. So it was worth it. But I am going to write that up and put that on Ravelry as a free pattern. It is a recipe. It is, so you can knit toe up knee highs with DK weight yarn that perfectly fit your body and calf increases. So I will have that written up. My goal for that is to have that written up in January. The second thing I did, or that I will write up and put up on Ravelry as well as also a free design, is this hat that I've been working on. So it's top down and it's pretty similar to the Musselburgh or Musselburgh. I don't know which one it's called, but it's half of the stitches in between the decrease. And then I use the circumference formula to knit until I get to a certain diameter of my little circle that I'm knitting. And then stop increasing, and then you knit extra and do a folded cuff. I really like this. It has double fabric on the brim, so it's nice and warm. Ooh. I really like it. It's slouchier than I expected because it keeps pulling up. But I really like it. It's a really good base layer. I think I'm really gonna love those double brimmed, or the double layer brim during our next soccer season when I'm freezing outside. So I'm really excited to have that. This was my vanilla knitting the majority of our trip. And so then I cast on more vanilla knitting, which is also a finished object. So I'm going to move into that. So these are a pair of Rose City, well, they're not Rose City rollers. They are crazy tie-dye-ish funky socks. I don't know how true. It is neon rainbow. There's purple, orange, pink, blue, and green. This was yarn I dyed with my kids. It's Knitpicks Stroll. I don't know if I said that, but it is Knitpicks Stroll that I hand painted with the kids years ago, and I hated the skein. And I caked it up to take it to co-op for a craft, and I liked it in the cake. So I knit a pair of socks. They were going to be for my son. He liked the yarn, and he likes tall socks. My daughter wants ankle socks. And I cast on the wrong size and knit a whole sock. I cast on her size circumference-wise or around, but then his length for everything. So they're a little long for her. They'll be really tall socks. And the foot's a teeny bit long, but it'll be fine. She'll be able to wear them. And I have 58 grams of this yarn left. So I theoretically could make him a pair of ankle socks, but he doesn't usually prefer those. And I use the Rose City Rollers pattern, which is a free pattern by Mary Catherine Briner. I basically use the numbers. So instead of doing a rolled ankle sock, I just knit ribbing the same number of stitches and then a leg, and then went into the heel flap and then, did the foot. So I used the majority of the numbers. And I mean, honestly, I've knit so many pairs of those vanilla socks that I just have the numbers memorized at this point. But that's what I loosely used to base this off of. So she'll be excited because she can have these now, and I can see how big they are. Maybe if they're ridiculous, I'll take a picture. My next finished object is the Ash Bark Blanket by Pearl Soho, which is also a free pattern. It's so funny. I have so many free patterns. I am not somebody that doesn't buy a pattern, and I understand that there is privilege behind that, but like, I don't search for free patterns. I search for what I'm looking for and pick the pattern I want to knit. So that's just not a filter I use, is what I'm actually trying to say. So most of the patterns I knit, I feel like are paid patterns. But yeah, it just turns out that I'm knitting a ton of free patterns right now. And this one used cotton, fingering weight cotton, but I am using the Softy Baby Bernat that I got at Joann, and it is an acrylic. It is machine washable. And it is dege. So I knew my blanket was going to be large. There are two sizes. There's a crib blanket and a throw blanket. So I knit the crib blanket, and I think I knit 2 repeats less of the body as well. But I'm going to show you how pretty this is. So it's not blocked. But it's these diamonds with these little cable stitches. Oh, I love it. This is for baby Lucas, and I'm really excited about it. But I need to block it. I also have some baby carriers I'm sending her, so I need to go dig through some other stuff and do some other washing as well before I send her package out anyway. But I need to do that because baby's been here for like 3 weeks now. Okay, I have one more finished object. This is the Harry Potter sorting hat by Allison Hoffman. It's also a free pattern. This is a crochet pattern, and I want a sorting hat as our tree topper. And so I thought this would be perfect. It's like a hat for kids. But my eyes and stuff do not look anything like hers. And I can't. I don't know. Eli told me he thinks it should be like, let's see. So first you've got, these are the eyes right here. And they're supposed to kind of, in the picture, it looks like they're in, like the sorting hat. I'm going to put it on, though, because it's kind of easier to see. Maybe not. Maybe not. This is going to be really hard. But the mouth just kind of like pops out. So it's like these triple stitches. This is not going to be easy to see on here, and I'm sorry. But it's like these, you see this mouth. This is like the third one I did, or I took it out like twice because the gauge was too tight. And this you're gonna have to like pin down, which is fine. But I just can't get like the eyes and stuff to lay well. I have a bigger hook that I can use because part of it, like I feel like hers like pokes in almost. I don't know. I think it's a really good starting point. I don't think this is our sorting hat for the tree. What I think this is going to end up being is a sorting hat for the playroom. I don't know. I'm a little bummed because I thought it looked like a really cute pattern. And I might still, like, I don't know. See, Eli might be right. Like, maybe it does go in. It just doesn't have stability. Like, it wasn't, when I knit it at a tighter gauge, to where it would stand up, this stuff wasn't big enough to like look right. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I might alter the pattern. I might alter it so this stuff increases faster and isn't as stiff, so that when it's stiff, it doesn't look as funny. And then see, I don't know what I'm going to do. We might just buy a sorting hat for the tree. But I do know this will get played with all the time because my kids thought that was fun. And they have Harry Potter wands, so they would totally use this. Just it seems like such a fail to me. Yeah. Okay, well, that was kind of a fail of a recording too, because I don't really know how else to show that to you. It's hard to see on camera. But And that's all I've got for finished objects. Okay, works in progress, my whips. I have first up cast on last night and just did 3 rows of my next vanilla knitting project. We have company coming today. They're on their way now. They should be here by 3, 4. So I wanted to make sure I had something to do. So I wanted to make sure that I had something to do with my hands while people were here. And I cast on just another pair of socks. This time I cast on the correct size for my son. And this is Knitpicks Felici Lost Lakes. And it's just a 50-gram ball, but it's these blues and a lime green and a pale blue and a navy. Definitely his thing. He's a blue fan. And yeah, he does not like the rolled cuff. He doesn't love ankle socks, but I only have one of these and he liked the yarn. So I am making him a pair of ankle socks, and he does not like the rolled cuff. So I do a ribbed cuff for him for like 2 or 3 stripes. 2 stripes. Yeah, it's 2 stripes, which is what I do for the rolled cuff as well. Yeah, so that's my knitting, and I actually thought I was going to cast on that bamboo pop sock, but I feel like that's going to be such a nice thing to work on when it's hot outside. So I keep saving it. I'm going to hoard that. I need to look and just buy like 10 of them so that I don't have to worry about hoarding them. Isn't that how that goes? All right. Like I said, I'm working on finishing up my whips and all of that. And I have pulled out my piano scarf again. I really did want to have this done by Christmas, so I'm kind of discouraged. And to add to the discouragement, I totally had to rip back a row when I pulled it out, and that was frustrating. So all in all, I'm just frustrated with this project, but the yarn is gorgeous and it is a fabulous pattern. So it is the Piano Scarf by Deborah Kinsey Knits, and that is $5.89 US. And I really hadn't done anything on it the last time I podcast, or I put an episode up, but I added 2 rows to it. I am working on it and pulling it out. I was discouraged because one morning I was literally during my coffee time just ripping things out. So it's just been frustrating. It's so good. Oh yeah. Love it. I'm bummed because on camera I can see where there were 2 rows where the color dominance changed, and I can totally see it. Dang it. Well, they're not a knitter, so I hope they're not a knitter. I don't think they knit. But the yarn is wonderful as well. Let me see. I know I wrote it down. The yarn is Plymouth Select dege Superwash Merino, and it is fabulous. I do really love this yarn. I'm gonna get some of it for myself. I got this at Stranded Yarn and Coffee here in Midland, which is my local yarn shop and where my knitting group meets. It's not really a group, it's just people that knit at a coffee shop. But yes, I'm really happy with this. My tension seems really good, and you knit it back and forth. And I know I've talked about this a million times, but I did a provisional cast on, and I'm going to fold it so that I get this nice edge, and do the same on the other end of the front panel so that I can Kitchener them on the back. It's a lot of extra, it might be extra effort, but I have done a cowl like that and really liked it. So I'm excited to get this done. Actually, I'm really just excited maybe to get to a new pattern row. Like I've been doing the same row the whole time. That color dominance thing is really gonna annoy me. It was less noticeable than more noticeable than I thought. Okay, well, I'm like 2 rows away from the pattern changing, so maybe that'll be exciting. But I also think it's just that it's black and white and it's long rows. That's the biggest thing, I think, is that it's these long rows. I mean, I drank 1 cup of coffee doing 1 row. It took a whole cup of coffee. So that's a lot. And I use my coffee time to plan my day and to do a lot of my planning. So the ADHD brain doesn't turn off. And the way I explain it is it's kind of like you're standing in a room and 10 people are throwing snowballs, like water balloons in the room. And you're just trying to like catch one before they pop and figure out what that thought is as it races by. So a lot of my coffee time is me drinking coffee, thinking of something random, going to do that task or writing it down, or, my brain's a mess in the morning, but that is kind of my productive get through things time. And so having a longer row is a little frustrating just because of what I'm utilizing. At night, I need to pick this up at night because that's really when I'm sitting and not worrying about what the day's done. So yeah, that's what I need to do. One of the things that's next, another whip that I have that I'm not going to pull out, is the mid-century cowl that I'm doing. I am excited about this. The colors are really good too. And it is up after the piano scarf. I am making myself finish that piano scarf first. And that's what's coming up next. I also have the Green Shoots Mitts by Kate Davies, which is a pattern for about $5.85 US. There is a matching hat that goes with this that I definitely want to knit as well. And I was going to, instead of doing mittens, I'm going to keep them as mitts and not do the top and do like like a half inch of rib or something instead. So I'm excited about that, but I haven't touched those either. Those will be up after the cowl, I think. There is one more thing I have going on that I want to show you before I rip it out. This is the Easy Crocheted Popcorn Garland, and it is by Rosemary Gallagher, and it is also free. This is a fabulous, fabulous pattern. Fabulous. It doesn't work for my tree. My tree needs more filling in between the branches. It is not, we don't buy a real tree. We have a fake tree, which I grew up with. And my husband did not. He just doesn't want to deal with a real tree, which fine by me. Me too. But look how cute. Oh, I love it so much. Sorry, I got a message and get distracted every time that happens. But yes, I love this so much, but it's just not what I need. I need something bigger and thicker to kind of go around the tree. So I saw a short video by Arna and Carlo, and it was just I-cord. And I was like, that's genius. I could do thick I-cord with faux fur, white faux fur. So I think that's what a huge chunky garland to go around the middle of the tree. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not sure yet, but this is gonna go on hold. It's a great pattern. And again, I would totally, like if I had a real tree and I wasn't hiding the fact that I don't have a real tree, then this would be perfect. I think it's adorable. I think it's cute. And you know what? I might keep it and like continue it and decorate with it somewhere else. It doesn't have to necessarily be on the tree. Because I am just using red heart and some cheap beads. It's not like keeping it on hold is a big deal. I might do that. That's all the knitting, I think, that's on my needles. I do have spinning to show you though. It's called Pinot Noir, and I don't remember who. I didn't purchase this, so it came with my wheel. It is baby alpaca, and it's got these grays, mauve, and deep purples. Oh, this is part of the giveaway for the first quarterly giveaway. I'm spinning it up. Well, let me phrase this. It's either going to be this or I will spin something else. I am not using a spinner's control card on this project. I just wanted to learn my wheel. I got the Matchless this summer and really didn't touch it much. which is embarrassing because I was really excited about it. But this I am planning on having as one of the giveaway gifts. But it's just worsted spun. I think it's gonna be about a DK weight. I think I'm gonna do a 2-ply. I think I'm gonna do a 2-ply, so we'll see. I might do a 3-ply though, the more plies, the more even your yarn will be. It will even out the inconsistencies in your spinning. So we'll see how inconsistent the singles are, and maybe that'll make my decision for me. But I am excited, and I've been spinning at night. And I think one of our other resolutions is reading more together. Me and my husband listening to more parenting books or books on neurodivergence and things like that. And I plan on doing my spinning during that time. I think it would be a good time while we're sitting there and listening to something. But that's one of my goals. And that is all I've got going on. I do have some acquisitions that I want to go through really quick. I don't know if I showed this when I got it, but I got an Easy Weaver rigid heddle loom. My mom had it and she gave it to me. So I'm excited to use that, or the kids can use it to make a scarf. They can either use it themselves or I can use it for sampling, which is fabulous, which is really what I wanted it for. I also have this huge box of stuff that I have not gone through yet. So I want to go through this with you. This is some weaving cotton. It definitely looks like cotton. That's for my mama. I don't know what this is. This is pearl cotton. This is all mercerized. So lots of these little ones. Okay. A Speedo weave. I don't know what this is. This is all vintage stuff, guys. Speedo weave. So it looks like anyone can make vanity sets, placemats, doilies, or centerpieces. My kids will like that. All right. Then we have an inkle loom. I have a very large inkle loom that goes up to my waist. It's a big one, but I haven't touched that in a while. This is just something for the kids. What is this? These are all from a friend of mine, or when we went to Delaware. They had saved this stuff for me. Hand weaving yarns. I think it was her mom's stuff. And more pearl cotton. More of this lily cotton. We'll totally use that. It's all in these cool vintage boxes though. Look at this. Oh, hang on, it's kind of broken because it is vintage, but all these cool boxes. And oh, cool. A lacing. This is a yarn weaving loom. Just one of these little things, and you can make little squares. It's cute. So this was just stuff that was our friend's mom, and they had saved it to give to me, which is awesome. I'll take old weaving stuff for sure. Yeah, so between those, I think that's going to be a fun winter thing with the kids, is digging through this box and figuring out how to do that. And I'm really excited about the rigid heddle loom for sampling. I'm really excited about that. The other thing we did that I wanted to show you, I don't think I showed you, were these turkey resist pictures that our friend ran at co-op. And the kids took oil pastels and drew their turkeys and then painted with watercolors. And so there are the turkey feathers. This one's Stella's. Ring lights in the way. And then this one's Eli's. But I framed these. Eli's is a horror turkey, like it says "Don't eat me." It reminds me of, look at those creepy eyes. I love it. I seriously really dig this one. But it reminds me of that Eat More Chicken cow from Chick-fil-A. Like, that's what it makes me think of. Anyway, so we did those at co-op, and that was so cute. And she just had you draw the turkey body, but I loved the idea of doing the resist. That was fun with watercolor and oil pastels. So I definitely am putting that on my list of things to do with the kids again, even if we're not doing turkeys, but just the combination of those two things was really cool. We also did an ornament craft that you probably saw us working on in the 12 Days of Christmas, but I'll put a picture up here and I'll put a link to the website where I got the tutorial. They were super cute. They look like little knitted hats, and it's scrap yarn and a toilet paper roll. This was a huge hit at co-op, and my kids and I made quite a few of them for family members. So we thought they were really fun, and I want to share those with you. What else do we have? I joined a women's choir this year, which has been awesome. I'm so into it and love it. It's been a really good experience for me. And we had a concert, which was not actually a Christmas concert. We did all women composers. It was really fun. I was very happy with how well I knew the music. All in all, it was really awesome. And it really feels like a big part of regaining part of my identity. And I am really happy to be doing it. And then we went to Hershey, Pennsylvania for Christmas, and we went for like 10 days. We also went to Delaware to visit friends, and I talked a lot about this stuff in the 12 Days of Christmas, so I don't want to be give too much away. But if you didn't watch, we had a really good trip. We really just played a lot of games and hung out with our family, and it was great. I mean, it was a really good trip. Today, my father-in-law, his wife, and my brother-in-law are coming in town. I mentioned that already, I think. Anyway, they're coming in town, so that's exciting too. So we still have more holidays to celebrate this week. And so part of our vacation involved the 12 Days of Christmas, and the 12 Days of Christmas experiment really made me reflect on what I want to keep and what I don't want to keep about this podcast. I really feel like I've struggled to find my footing. And I don't know if this is a part of the autism. I don't know if this is a part of me not reading social cues or kind of missing the point, which seems to happen a lot. But I still feel like I'm finding my groove, which is okay. And so what is the future of the podcast? Because when I started this, I didn't have a job. I didn't have a job yet. I was homeschooling my kids. I wanted to share my crafts and what I'm doing, and share awareness about homeschooling and what we do in our school day. And that's shifted, I feel. Now I'm working and part-time and still homeschooling and still running co-op and still with our meetups, and things have changed, and things have evolved as the podcast went on. But there are things that I think I wanted to do in the beginning that I never really got around to, like consistent make-alongs. I really want quarterly make-along giveaways, or I want to share with you guys. I want to appreciate you guys for coming here and enjoying this space. So that's one of the things that I really want to work on. I'm getting off topic, but the 12 Days of Christmas really helped me stop and think about what I want to be doing. One of the things I'm going to be doing is highlighting a different breed every single month. I have a breed study over here, and actually, now that I say that, oh no, I don't have it. I have a breed study that I got from Tiffany at the Woolen Homestead. She lives here in Midland, and she said she wasn't going to spin it. She's into the colorful braids, and this is all natural fiber. And so I am going to spin through different breeds every month. And I do feel like there are some repeats, so I think I'm going to have to search for some additional ones to fill in the gaps. But that is a goal that I want to do. And I am going to record individual videos, not a part of the episode, where I talk about it and talk about what I think about the breed and all of that information, and kind of have it be more of an educational thing, which I went into this thinking I would do more of. But it took longer to find my footing, I think, than it might have for somebody that doesn't have the same struggles. So that's one thing that's going to change. I think I'm going to record bi-weekly again because I have a job now. My crafting is lower than it, I don't know, it really isn't. I don't know. I mean, now that I'm working, I think that it might not be reasonable for me to have it every weekend where I'm recording and rushing to do that. I think bi-weekly makes more sense for me. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to stick to it. And I am getting more organized of a schedule, better routines. We're working on that this year too. But this kind of conversation of where the podcast is going and what I want to do with it is leading me into like this whole resolution and goal setting conversation that I wanted to have. I don't really do resolutions, but I do have goals. I am a goal setter. So in my to-do list, I have a monthly goal list, and it is subcategorized by zones of life. So work is a zone, homeschool parenting is a zone, marriage is a zone. The stuff that goes under marriage ends up being like listening to books or play more games together, things like that. But just I'm trying to make a point. They're all zoned out, right? Cleaning, blah, 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 house projects, this. I haven't really gone through and set all of my goals yet, but some of them are. I want to use Goodreads this year. I want to use Goodreads to find better book selections, and really commit to putting it in so I can see all I'm doing, which I really think will help motivate me to read more and to listen to more books. I'm reading in bed, so I love going to bed. I go to sleep at 10:30. But I've been going upstairs to go in my bed. I sit in my bed and knit and read a book. Someone's there. I sit in bed and knit while I read a book. And I've been doing that this past week from like 9:30 to 10:30, depending on the night. And so that is one of the things I really enjoy. That the lights are on too, and I'm not laying in bed, so it doesn't feel like it's messing with my sleep hygiene. I am a very predictable sleeper. I go to bed at 10 o'clock or 10:30 every night, and I wake up on my own without an alarm between 5:45 and 6:30. So I do not think it is going to mess with that, but we'll see. I want to spin a little in the evenings. That's a good time for me to spin. I want to finish my whips and start fresh. That was the big thing. I want to finish everything that's works in progress. Reading more parenting books and neurodivergent books with my husband. Get my loom up and running again. I mean, it works. It's not like the loom needs any work. It's just where my loom is not dealt with. But I want to weave in my sunroom this spring, and that I really want to do that. So that is a big goal for me. Those are just some of them. These are not all of them by far, but I always have a list of running goals so that I can reference them, because out of sight, out of mind, object permanence with ADHD is a huge problem for me. So if I don't have them a place that I can quickly reference them, I will completely forget what I'm working on and then not make any progress because I just don't remember. The last thing I want to talk about though is my Make 9. I am going to do a Make 9 for this year, and I've picked my 9 items that I'm excited about and working on. This by no means will be an exhaustive list of what I will do this year. I imagine I will make much more than this, but I think this is a good set of goals. The Camille top is on the list. I will put pictures up. I am knitting this out of Knitpicks Luxe, and I hope it works, or I hope it's a good yarn choice. If not, then I probably will knit a second one because I really like this pattern. The Mizarina, which I have a few choices on yarn for this, so I haven't decided colorings yet. The Brioche Hearts shawl, I have already started spinning the yarn for. I am using Malabrigo Noob. I guess it's Nube. I don't know if it's in Spanish. It would be Nube. But I think it's Cereza is the colorway. And then I'm also just using a black merino as the background color. So that I'm really excited about. The Timberline, the Mitten Garland Advent Calendar. Literally, look at this. I just have one sitting in my cart, my recording cart. They're so cute. Yeah, anyway, so I want to knit all of those for next year. My fireplace is the whole wall, so I've got like a really great place to put that. So that I want to get done. The snow fern shawl I showed you guys, I have a pound of like taupe alpaca that I want to spin for this. I do not know how to say this. The Taimit, Taimit, they are flower colorwork knee highs, and I have to have them. The Faye Summer Top. I don't have a lot of warm weather knitting, and I really want to remedy that. So I want to try the Faye Summer Top. Lastly, I think it's the last one. Yep, last one is the Clandestine, and it is a shawl that looks like it has flowers and sunbursts, but the pattern or the picture was a black with variegated in the middle. And I want to spin for this as well. I want to spin at least the variegated color. We'll see. I'm not sure. But those are my make 9. I felt like I picked a good mix of things to do, things to try. I picked a sweater for my husband. He has proven to be very knitworthy. When I sewed the buttons on his shirt, he immediately put the sweater on for the day. Like, you literally put the sweater on and wore it as soon as you possibly could. So yeah, knitworthy, I would say. But some shawls, some spinning, and that's the other thing is I'm going to have to be a little intentional with this because some of it is spinning projects. So I need to be working on the spinning while I'm knitting other things, right? But I really am happy with those choices, and I'm excited to see all of that stuff knit up. I think that's all for life stuff. Things feel very dysregulated right now, just because we're still in our holiday season. We start our next semester a week from well, it's Monday. So we start, is it the 9th? I think Monday the 9th. Yeah, so that is a little stressful, the beginning of a semester, but I am excited. It was last semester went really well. The half semester I did went really well, and I'm really happy with my department. I'm really happy with my job. I'm really happy with how it fits in our family, and I think it's a good sign when I'm excited that it's our day to go to work with Colin instead of him going to work by himself. It's kind of cool. So all around good things, but let's move on. All right, so personal learning section. I am still reading Nettle and Bone. That's what I'm reading at night. I don't really have books to talk about. I have podcasts, and some documentary, but I don't have a lot of books right now. Again, why it's at the top of my resolutions, or my goal setting. So I watched Kindred on Hulu, and it's based off of a book by Octavia Butler. Really good. Really liked it. it's set up for another season, so that's exciting. I'm definitely adding the book to my list. It's a girl kind of going back and forth in time. Yeah, it's really weird, and I don't know what to think of it yet. But going back and forth in time, she's a black woman, and she's going back to a slave plantation, and her mom is somehow there. So it's some kind of like genetic thing as well. Really, really good. I'm also watching The Preipherals, which is also based off of a book. It's on Amazon, and it's kind of futuristic dystopia. There's a headset in the past, and if you put it on, you can control a peripheral in the future. Kind of weird, but it's actually it's really good, and the acting's really good. I really, really like all of it so far. The two documentaries that I wrote down were The Black Holes, The Edge of All We Know. And this was an older documentary. This was about the first like good picture we got of a black hole. And it was talking about the technology and how basically in order to see these things that far away, we needed an Earth-sized telescope. And so they made one by utilizing satellites at the exact same moments in multiple places in the world. And it was really cool to get that aspect of it. It is not the best picture of a black hole that we currently have. We just got better pictures recently, I feel like, or within the year. But it was still really, really good. The other one leads me into my new favorite podcast. But we were watching a documentary, and I could not get HBO to load on my computer to look it up. But it was on infinity, and, you know, it was super nerdy and about infinite levels of infinity and blah, 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 blah. I dug it so much. But while we were watching it, my husband noticed this guy, and he's like, who is he? I swear I know his voice. I was like, okay, well, he's a mathematician, so I'm not sure, but all right, let's look him up. So he looks him up, and he's like, oh, this is Stephen Strogatz. I'm sorry, what did you say? Oh, he wrote my graduate DeFQ's book. Okay, cool. Then my husband pipes up again. Oh, he has a podcast. Stop. Well, the next day we were driving. So I listened to like 5 or 6 episodes of his podcast. It's like Star Talk for biomath. I'm obsessed. It's so good. It's so good. It's basically him interviewing biomath people. That's it. It's like, oh, it's so good. And it's really geared towards scientists. Like, I think that most people could listen to it and get something from it, don't get me wrong. But I understand the vast majority of it because of the previous knowledge I have about the modeling they're doing. I do not know how enjoyable it is to listen to if you don't have all of that knowledge. And that sounds arrogant, but that's not how I am saying it. I'm just saying that I think even more so than other podcasts I listened to, you needed more information than they were giving you. It was like I had information on the things they weren't saying or like what they were alluding to almost. But I should ask my husband because he was like half listening. He didn't seem to get into it. And he listens to like Star Talk and all that stuff with me and likes that. So I do think it was extra dry. Regardless, it is like legit my new favorite podcast. And I was like, it sounds so silly, but I really get into biomath stuff. Like I'm really into what I studied. And I was geeking out so much. Like my adrenaline was pumping. And we got to the social justice girl. I was like, stop it. It was so cool. Because we did a lot of, not necessarily social justice stuff, but in my thesis, we worked on the opiate crisis and modeling it. And a lot of that talked about the differences in rural versus metropolitan areas and like, how do we best allocate resources. So there's social side and social considerations that we had to take in the work that I did. And so I just thought that was so cool. And she's one of like the first people to do this, and so good. Anyway, it's called The Joy of X. I don't even think I got to that yet. And it's so good. But moving past the super, super nerdy, the other two podcasts that we listened to on our trip, we finished up Mother Country Radicals, which is by Zaid. I don't know what his last name is actually, but it's Bernadine Dorn's son, and the Weather Underground. Is it the Weatherman Underground? The Weatherman Underground. Yeah. So it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was very educational. Yeah, it was really interesting. And there were some hard things. Like this is one of the children who was underground for the first 5 years of his life, and talking about the damage that these parents caused their kids too. Like it was very good. It was well done. And the last one we started, we haven't finished listening to it, but this is Ultra by Rachel Maddow. And, it's so good. It is about how the Nazis infiltrated or the Nazis were sending propaganda to Americans on taxpayers' dollars because they had infiltrated with senators to send out Nazi propaganda. It is wild. I highly recommend it. But yeah, those are the podcasts that we've been listening to, and the documentaries we watched. We watched Harry Potter marathon on our vacation, which we watch every year around Christmas. You know what? It's because they put it under the Christmas lists. When you go to look for Christmas movies, Harry Potter's on it. And we're like, oh, well, we could do that. And that's how it got started as a Christmas tradition in our house. Yeah, I really hope you guys had a wonderful holiday. I'm really glad I got to come and share my projects and share some of the stuff that I've been doing, hopes and goals for the future of the podcast. I want to include more vloggy things and videos and more segment type things instead of just my stuff. I don't know what that's going to look like yet. If you have any suggestions, I would love to hear it. But until next time, like, subscribe, and comment below. It really does help my channel get out there and show people what I've been up to and working on, so we can grow our community. But I will see you guys next time. Bye.